And joining me now is North Dakota Republican Congressman Kelly Armstrong. Congressman Armstrong, we appreciate you making some time today. I do want to ask you first about Marjorie Taylor Greene. She posted today, and we'll put it up on the screen for our viewers, Mike Johnson is officially the Democrat Speaker of the House. If Democrats want to elect him Speaker and some Republicans want to support the Democrats' chosen Speaker, I'll give the chance to it. I'll give them the chance to do it. She appears to still be threatening a motion to vacate here, Congressman, even as Democrats say that they would table such a motion. Where do you stand on this? What's your reaction?
Well, I think the overwhelming number of Republicans support Mike Johnson. Disagreeing on a particular policy issue with him is no reason to vacate the speakership. I've had a great relationship with him, a personal friendship with him since I served on judiciary with him. He's got the toughest job in politics, and I think he's doing it admirably and deserves to keep his job.
Well, given the support that you just talked about, there's still this cloud hanging over his head, this threat of potentially this motion being made. If Representative Greene goes forward with a motion to vacate, should there be some consequences there inside the conference?
Well, I just think when you're down to a 2-vote majority and possibly a 1-vote majority, the idea that one person can trigger the motion to vacate, particularly in this time where people are very much more interested in getting media attention than solving problems, I think it's just a math issue. It's a silly math issue, and yeah, we should figure something out.
So you'd advocate for changing the rule, for getting rid of the one-person ability to call for this motion?
Yeah, I just don't know if you need a majority on the floor. I just think when you have a 1-vote majority and one member can do it, it's the definition of the tyranny of the absolute minority of the majority. It doesn't make any sense, and most people don't agree with it. It's not good for our members running for re-election. It's not good for President Trump running for re-election. It's not good for anybody who understands that even as dysfunctional as Congress is, it still has to be able to function at its basic core.
Well, you talk about functionality here. I mean, the Speaker may have to rely on votes from the other party to stay in power. Do Republicans really have a functioning majority at this point?
Well, I think it's more. More than that. I think our last rule vote prior to last week, we lost with 18. I think we had 55 members vote against the rule. There's nobody that controls my voting card, and I don't expect anybody in Congress to vote how leadership tells them to do, at least not on our side of the aisle. But if you can't pass procedural votes, then you take away the ability to amend bills and all of those things. So that has been frustrating for me.
You were also a part of the majority of House Republicans who voted against the Ukraine aid bill that was drawn up by your conference. What's your explanation? Why that vote?
Yeah, and I think this is a perfect example. There's $20 billion in non-lethal aid out of the $60 billion that goes to things as administrative function, diplomacy, with absolutely no real oversight in it. There's a lot of members, I think, that would have liked to have seen a lethal aid bill that gives them exactly what they need and deal with that. But there's already been a history of that non-lethal aid having severe problems with oversight. And when a full third of the bill is going to that, it's just impossible for me to support it after the history of that.
But there was oversight. This package had $26 million earmarked for oversight, right? That was enough for Speaker Johnson. Why was that not enough for you?
Because I think the history of it, well, one, I think the $20 billion wasn't necessary. I think if you're talking about the fight and the war effort and all of those things going on, providing the lethal aid is what Ukraine needs. We have plenty of allies can do all of that. So it's not just the oversight. Although we went through that bill, and the oversight in that bill is not nearly sufficient for what I think is needed for that amount of money.
So you couldn't support what the Speaker wanted to do there. You do support the Speaker staying in the job that he's in currently. Help me to understand, given your vote on Ukraine, for example, how you still support Speaker Johnson.
Because I'm a grown-up, and because policy disagreements don't warrant vacating the Speaker. If I only voted for a Speaker I agreed with 100% of the time, I'm not even sure I could support myself. This is silly. It's the hardest job in politics. He got thrown into it in the middle of a Congress. He's doing an admirable job working forward on these issues when he had a divided conference on the issue of Ukraine. I don't support the piece of the legislation for the Ukraine, but I support Mike Johnson, and I think he's doing a good job.
So you're going to be leaving Congress at the end of this term. We know as you run for governor of your state of North Dakota. There are 24 of your House Republican colleagues, including some pretty powerful committee chairs, who are also opting to retire while you're in the majority. Help me square that. Do you think that there's just this growing frustration about serving in the House of Representatives right now?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people frustrated here. For me, I thought I had the best job in politics. Turns out the best job in politics opened. When you're an at-large member and you get to go be governor, I would have loved to continue serving here. I actually really enjoy it, think it's important work. But when you have the opportunity to be the governor of the greatest state in the country, you just have to take that opportunity. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people frustrated. Schedules, all of those different things. There are people here that really want to get work done. And, you know, particularly people who've been around a long time. And, you know, the other answer, though, is you have to deal with what's coming in front of you. And I think for the most part, people are working hard to do what they do best, and that's help their constituents.
Well, let me ask you about what a Governor Armstrong would do. There's an EPA directive that came down this month that would force coal-fired power plants to capture smokestack emissions, or they would have to shut down, right? You're running for governor of North Dakota. If you were in office, what would your response to that be? Would you be looking to sue the government to stop this?
Not only sue, but try and get an immediate injunction. We've dealt with these issues for my entire time, and it's actually uniquely existential for North Dakota because it goes after mercury, which is particularly prevalent in lignite. We don't blend our lignite, but it's more than just an EPA-regulated mandate. My hometown saw temperatures of 70 degrees below wind chill in February of this year, and if you don't have the ability to have your heat come on, this is a real problem for places like us. We do it better and cleaner than everybody else, and we should allow North Dakotans to regulate that as much as possible and keep the EPA out of it. Because without coal-fired electricity in North Dakota, we've had real problems.
Before I let you go, Congressman, I do want to ask you, last month you told my colleague Kristen Welker that you did not have enough votes to impeach President Biden in the House, and that there was no smoking gun in the investigation that's been going on there. It's been a few weeks now without really any real action by this committee. What's your understanding of why this inquiry is still open?
Well, first of all, I think we should be pushing the DOJ as hard as we can to get the audio tapes of the president's interview with his ghostwriter. Long before I got into politics, I practiced in federal court, and the last thing I'm ever going to do is listen to a prosecutor tell me what is the best evidence. By any stretch of the imagination, if those things exist, we should go get them. But, I mean, eventually, Chairman Jordan and Chairman Comer are going to have to make a decision whether it makes sense to continue down the investigative road or to write the report, because we do have the election timeline that you don't typically have in these investigations.
All right, we will leave it there for now. Congressman Kelly Armstrong of North Dakota, sir, we appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.